I'll call for the adoption of the agenda of the 73rd meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Cran, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. All in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye, is carried. We have one item on the agenda, and I would ask the Chair of the Finance Committee to read the resolution to come forward, or the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Council Grant, Council Joe Tremblay at leave of absence effective October to December 2020 due to ongoing health concerns. Be it resolved that Councillor Tremblay, one at a time, sorry. I'll start again. Be it resolved that Council Grant and Council Joe Tremblay in leave of absence effective October to December 2020 due to ongoing health concerns.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councillor Cran, seconded by,
No. Moved and second.
oh, I'm sorry, okay. Moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by Councillor Cran. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Be it resolved that Councillor Tremblay's approved leave of absence be paid leave of absence.
Moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by
I'll second that.
Councillor Cran. Any discussion on the resolution put forward? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Carried unanimous. That being the only item on the agenda, I call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Dyson Edmonds, seconded by Councillor Cran. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Meeting is adjourned. call a meeting to order, and I'll call for the adoption of the agenda of the 74th meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs,
Second.
seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous. Delegations, we have none. We'll move on, adoption of the previous minutes of the 71st minutes, October 27th, 2020.
So moved.
So moved by
second.
Councillor Dyson Edmonds, seconded by
I'll second.
Councillor Compton Hobbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous. Adoption of the previous minutes of the 72nd minutes, November the 2nd, 2020.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Dyson Edmonds, seconded by
I'll second.
Councillor Bakey. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Is there any correspondence that we need to go over?
No.
Okay, all right. We'll move into the committees. And the first one is Councillor Cran, Municipal Services.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Municipal Service Committee met on November the 3rd. President was myself, Councillor Michelle Bakey, Deputy Mayor Bert Pomeroy, Town Manager Robert Andrews, Municipal Engineer Randy Dillon, Superintendent Frank Brown, Superintendent Keith Pye, Fire Chief Brad Butler, Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Meeting was called to order at 4:42. Review of the previous minutes and action items. There was no meeting in October. Under the manager's report, Fire Department Fire Chief Butler's report was attached and reviewed. Reported since last meeting, there were 7 emergency calls for assistance for a total of 110 to date. Advised that the fire hall apparatus is fully serviceable and the RRU is complete and will be delivered next week. Training will follow for full-time firefighters. Advised that applications have been made to various funding initiatives. Fire Chief Butler advised that FF1 training continues, as well as new training program 3, Wednesdays per month, with the option for various other courses. Fire Inspector Robert Hinks has resigned. There is more info in the budget submission. He said there has been no update on the mutual aid agreement to date with Muskrat Falls Fire Service Agreement and is waiting for signature. Chief Butler also included a copy of the 2021 budget submission. Public Works Manager report was attached and reviewed. The manager advised that the department continues normal operations in a productive manner while maintaining practices that would be considered safe for staff and the general public. Crews are performing regular seasonal duties such as road grading, snow clearing, sweeping, shoulder maintenance, landfill burial, as well as the other departments. Equipment preparation and repair is ongoing, and fleet is in good condition for the start of the winter season. He advised the tipping fees to date are approximately $285,000. Manager advised that the new sweeper proved very productive and is now put away for the winter season. Crews have been brush cutting in various sites around town, and this is an ongoing maintenance task. He said catch basin culvert maintenance has been completed. Storm drains have been flushed. The Water and Sewer Department manager's report was attached and reviewed. The manager said water treatment plant is operating with no major issues. Winter supplies are arriving. He said the water treatment plant has no major issues other than an issue with the circuit board, and a replacement board has been ordered. Cutting of vegetation around the lagoons has started and will continue as weather allows. The manager spoke of landscaping upgrades at the reservoirs, noting that there was noticeable improvement. He said crews have been busy with water and sewer services and hydrant repairs. Manager said the sewer lift station upgrades are 98% complete and sewer cleaning is complete for the season as well. Manager said he is pleased with the amount of water flushing completed, and if weather allows, will aim to complete the valley section. Manager also included this multi-year world capital project, or the projects for the next 2 years for committee's review. Engineering manager report was attached and reviewed. The manager advised that the wellness center is on week 76 for on-site construction, and substantial completion is expected by December 7th. Landscaping and paving has been complete. Delivery of the climbing wall is expected this month. Manager said Clean Water Wastewater Fund project has been completed and the consultant has visited the site for final inspection. Manager said that the Broomfield Arena safety renovations is ongoing and is expected to be completed in December. Manager said that tender for the gateways for the trail upgrades project did not receive any bids and will be re-tendered in February. Manager said contract for the concrete foundation for the gazebo in Kinsman Park has been awarded to Greens Construction, and shipment of the gazebo from ABC Recreation is scheduled for November 11th. The manager said that the RV park design, final design, and tender documents have been received, and the total cost is estimated at $2,178,895. Manager said that all AVL implementation is almost complete and software has been received and being reviewed. So, Your Worship, I do have one recommendation, but that is my report, and I ask to be accepted as presented.
I second that.
Been moved by Councillor Cran, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Are there any discussion on Councillor Cran's report?
Only question I got is that we had a discussion around Kellen Drive. Did you get any new information on, because we all know the condition of the road is horrible. and
You're
we
talking
ta-
about the bumps and the ruts and,
Yeah, we had a discussion about the speed signs. I don't know if you talked to Randy after. but
I haven't been, no, I haven't.
A possibility of putting them down to 40 kilometers?
Yeah, I know we discussed it, but I know there's no decision has been reached as of yet, whether or not we're going to leave it as is or drop it back.
Can you follow up with that one with Randy when
I
he's back?
can, yeah.
Are there any further discussion or questions for Councillor Cran?
Just a comment, I believe, Councillor, from the last Municipal Service Committee meeting, there was further discussion on the Kellen Drive, and the recommendations that came forward from management was to leave the speed limit as is.
Yes.
It's a discussion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but we had a discussion with it about it since after that.
Well, I think what you're referring to, Compton Hobbs, is that we did have a discussion after
Yeah,
that decision was made or whatever.
and I think the town manager was gonna talk to the town engineer to do some research maybe, to see if that's a possibility, because we talked about.
study.
Yeah, we talked about where we would put the signs if we did put them up, the whole road or wherever. I don't know, Robert, if you got anything to add to that.
You turn to Rob, Robert.
Sorry about that. We did have a brief discussion following the last conversation, so I will follow up with the engineer to see with respect to placement of signs, and whether and how council wishes to proceed with that. We did talk about, Mr. Chair, at the Municipal Services meeting as well, about the prospect of, in addition to maybe speed signs, perhaps information signs advising motorists about driving to conditions and so forth. So I can revisit that with the engineer and bring something back to council over the coming week, most likely.
Are there any further questions for Councillor Cran? Only to pass along again, as I did an email to the staff from Roads and Grounds for a tremendous job that they did in the snow clearing. People were, a lot of them said they were spellbound, that the amount of snow we had, and I think what it said, 3 o'clock Wednesday morning, all the roads were pretty well open and sanded, so. Okay, so, all in favor of Councillor Cran's report?
Aye.
Aye, carried unanimous. And you have one,
I do have one recommendation, Your Worship. Be it resolved that the town of Abbey Goose Bay borrow from the Royal Bank of Canada $435,150 for the purchase of a John Deere 644 loader for a term of 60 months, period of 60 months at an interest rate of 3.19%.
is being moved by Councillor Cran,
No, I'll second.
seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. Are there any discussion on the motion brought forward?
That we definitely need another loader, all the snow we're getting.
This is to replace one that was being sent back, correct?
Right.
That's correct. We did have, I guess if we go back right to the start, we did have a fire and a piece of equipment that was destroyed back in December of 18. The original tender award, we did have some issues with that equipment, which was returned, and there was a new tender let. So this would be the successor to that replacement.
And the money was already in the previous budget.
It was.
Are there any further questions on the recommendation brought forward? All in favor of the recommendation?
Aye.
Carried unanimous. Thank you, Councillor Cran, and we will move on next to Councillor Compton Hobbs, Community Services and Recreation.
Okay, the Community Service and Recreation Committee met on November the 2nd. Present was myself, Councillor Bakey, via telephone, Town Manager Robert Andrews, Public Relations Waylon Williams, Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy, Michelle Northover, our Campaign Manager, and Program Coordinator Ann Morris. So some of the things we talked about, we didn't have a manager's report because Dominic has left the position since October the 20th, so we're hoping to fill that position in the very near future. Of course, Michelle Northover joined us from the Capital Campaign, and she gave us an update. They're continuing to reach out and find some sponsorships for the Capital Campaign towards the Wellness Center. The real good news is that we recently received another $100,000. So that's good. We're moving right along, trudging right along, and Michelle keeps working hard to try to get as much sponsorship dollars as we can. The Wellness Center is scheduled to be completed the first week of December, maybe to the mid of December. Hoping to have that building open in April, so hopefully everything will go well. Tree lighting, we talked about that, is set for December the 3rd. We're gonna be doing a virtual ceremony, and I believe our Public Relations has posted information on that already. So we'll be doing that outside of the Town Hall on December the 3rd virtually. And we'll ask anybody that wants to join to join us on Facebook Live. Santa Claus Parade is set for December the 5th. Deadline for float entries is tomorrow at 12 noon. And of course, pending on COVID, where we're going to with that. So that is scheduled right now for December the 5th. We had a new plan this year, so see how that goes down the next couple days. Winter Lights Contest, the deadline to apply is December the 19th, and that's been posted on the town website. The prizes for two in the valley, Lower Valley, Upper Valley, one in MOT, and one in the park. So decorate your houses, decorate your businesses, and somebody will be going around to monitor all the lighting, residential lighting and the business lighting, Christmas lighting this year. So let's light her up. It's been a kind of a gloomy year with the pandemic for sure, so whatever we could do. And just to add on to that, we thought this year we would spice it up a little bit with some contests. So we put out a kids coloring contest, a Christmas kids coloring contest, and an opportunity for children to enter the contest and win a prize. So if anybody out there listening, get your children to enter their name for the coloring contest. It's all on the town website. And we're also doing an adult prize of positive Christmas-related stories to enter your name for a prize. So that's two new initiatives we've done this year, just to try to lift the spirits of the community, seeing we're going through the COVID pandemic, and it's been kind of a gloomy year since March for sure. Our next meeting was scheduled for December the 7th, and I just wanted to mention under this report too, the town recently finalized the outreach coordinator position for the housing hub. So in partnership with the housing hub and the town, that position will be advertised in the next week or so. And we've been advocating for a long time for this position, and I'm happy to finally see it become a reality. And I think it's going to be very beneficial to the community. I mean, the outreach coordinator is going to be able to go out and offer some services to the transient population and homeless population and anybody in the community that really needs these services. So I'm anxious for that to get started, and I'm happy that it's finally finalized, and I say thank you to Nadine for putting all the hard work into that and finally making that a reality, because she certainly played a big role in that being finalized. So looking forward to that position starting. And our next, like I said, our next meeting is December the 7th, so I ask that you please accept my report as presented.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Compton Hobbs, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Are there any questions with her report?
I'll just add on, Mayor, I was at the arena last night, and everything seems to be running smooth, even though the COVID has certainly caused some restrictions over there, but everybody seems to be accepting it well, and there's a high number of kids registered with minor hockey this year, so that's good to see.
Are there any questions or comments for Councillor Compton Hobbs? I'd just like to say that I think it's good that we're trying, that your committee has done well trying to put a bit of joy into Christmas. It's been a difficult year, and I know some towns have already cancelled their drive-through, again because of the cases, but hopefully we can hold out and certainly see the parade go through, and the contest there for the children. You got the Christmas tree lighting, which will take place. All that's good, and it shows, I think, a glimmer of hope for what has been a very difficult year, excuse me, with COVID since March. So thank you for bringing these things forward. Are there any further questions? There being none, all in favor of the report put forward by Councillor Compton Hobbs? Aye. Carried unanimous. Okay, we're glad you could make it, Deputy Mayor Pomeroy. You're next with Development and Planning and Enforcement.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Development and Planning and Enforcement Committee met on November the 4th. Present were myself as chair, Councillors Dyson Edmonds and Compton Hobbs, Town Manager Robert Andrews, Engineer Randy Dillon, Constable Larry Baker via telephone, Municipal Tech DJ Elliott, GIS Tech Paul Zhao, and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Meeting was called to order at 12:07 p.m. We reviewed the previous minutes and action items. There were no errors or omissions. Committee reviewed one Crown land application and two discretionary land use applications, and recommendations will be presented to Council for consideration shortly. There was a fair bit of discussion on the number of home-based businesses being approved and the impact they are having on other businesses in the community that have to pay taxes, property and business taxes, pay staff, and other overhead costs and so on. Discussion rose from concerns expressed by both Councillors Compton Hobbs and Dyson Edmonds regarding one of the discretionary land use applications that will be presented to Council for consideration. Both councillors are opposed to the application. As you know, Mayor, all applications have to be voted on by Council and not by committee, and therefore the application will come forward. There was also some discussion around the speed limit on Kellen Drive, which was mentioned earlier tonight. Again, I won't rehash that, so we won't discuss that. I know Councillor Compton Hobbs had expressed concerns that the speed had not been reduced, and there's been further discussion on that. So, on another note, Constable Baker advised that the complaints report is now being generated by Valley Communications out of Nova Scotia. That was the company that we contracted to handle dispatch services. The committee also asked that more detail be included in the report, particularly with respect to resolutions to complaints. Financial control summary and monthly payments report based on the number of tickets and fines issued during the month of October was not available at the time of the meeting. The monthly animal control report as well as the mayor's report from the RCMP are also part of the council package for those wishing to review them, and there were no updates provided on the dilapidated buildings. During the meeting, Councillor Compton Hobbs questioned why the policy around the use of body cameras was not on the agenda as she requested. Again, this matter was discussed previously by Finance and Policy and Administration Committee. During that meeting, the committee was advised, or it was explained that during that meeting, the committee was advised that the provincial office of the Privacy Information Commissioner had put forward some recommendations for amending the policy. Councillor Compton Hobbs noted that the policy had already been approved by council and that we're not obligated to consider the recommendations of the Privacy Commissioner. She noted that under the policy, all of council should be permitted to view any footage from the body cameras, as the policy stands right now, specifically in the incident involving the municipal enforcement officer that's currently under investigation. The Privacy Commissioner's office recommended that the mayor and town manager and the municipal enforcement officer be permitted to view footage only in the recommendations. Town manager advised that the town must be compliant with the privacy legislation. Councillor Compton Hobbs insisted the Privacy Information Commissioner's office don't have the final say in what should be included in the policy. Councillor Dyson Edmonds said the Office of the Privacy and Information Commissioner should meet with all of council to discuss the matter. Councillor Compton Hobbs agreed and said she felt she was not getting all the full details. Town manager noted there is a process to follow and reiterated that the town must be compliant with the privacy legislation. Councillor Dyson Edmonds said she had to leave to avoid being late for work, and the meeting was adjourned at 12:58 p.m. The next meeting is scheduled for December 10th at 4:45 p.m. I move that council accept the committee report as presented.
Been moved by Deputy Mayor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Cran. Any discussion on the
Oh, there'll be lots of
report?
discussion, seeing our name was used several times in the report. First of all, the body cam policy that we passed in July, we're not following. It states right in there that mayor and council review any footage, so we're going against our own policy.
Until that policy changed, we are acting in contravention to that, yes.
Yeah, so that meeting on, I can't remember the date now, but the Development Planning Committee meeting got a little bit heated. And it was over the body cam policy, and it was over the OPEC recommendations. So we're following there's a policy in place that we're not following. Now, do I think we should, I don't wanna get into the investigation, but I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, we're gonna be spending tens of thousands of dollars for independent investigators, lawyers, whatever, and, there could be footage that, there's a policy already in place. Why was it ever put there in the beginning? It says mayor and council. We're not experts on some of this stuff, but I mean, there could be some minor infraction on a property that someone is insinuating something that the council could look at and say, no, that's wrong on the footage, it was this way. Which you wouldn't have to call in a lawyer to get advice on or whatever. That's my thinking. And as for the OPEC, at the end of the day, the final decision is made by council. They're only recommending that the mayor and the town manager review the footage. At the end of the day, it's a council discretion. The investigation, we approved that on October the 27th, an independent investigator. I asked twice, because I've been asked by the public many a times, any updates, any updates. I've asked twice and got no response, so I want the public to know that it's not on deaf ears. We are asking, it's just that we're not getting no response. So we're in the dark, just like you, when it comes to where this is to, so just put that out there. And as for the policy, it also came into the development planning meeting that why was the enforcement officer not included in the discussions with OPEC? It revolves around his position, so why wasn't he involved? So we did ask in the meeting, why was definitely the manager, the municipal enforcement officer, and the council, or the committee, the enforcement committee, not involved with the discussions? I don't know. So it was HR and town manager who spoke to OPEC, so yeah, there was lots of questions around the body cam policy, and it got heated, and I don't know. I mean, we're still no further ahead. We're not following the policy that we passed in July. So here we are.
So until the changes are actually made to the body cam policy, then we do have to act according to what the policy is that exists right now, most definitely. With regards to, you know, the discussions and not actually involving, the constable, the only update that we got on the investigation is that there has been somebody appointed independently, outside of, the town's actual lawyers, which is a smart move, of course, because it has to be independent. But, you know, like Councillor Compton Hobbs said, yes, the meeting was extremely heated, and I guess every right to be, but I fail to understand how a discussion happens about a particular department without the head person that's running the department. You're not having a discussion about, in a finance meeting without the head of the finance department. You're not having Councillor Cran is not having a committee meeting without Frank Brown and people from his department. So I fail to see the reasoning behind having an enforcement committee meeting without involving the enforcement department as well. So, I mean, I took exception with that, and I still do, because I think that any discussions about the departments have to involve the managers of those departments.
Okay, with regard to the privacy commissioner, that they overrule council. And if there's questions still unanswered, or where the privacy commissioner has to come back with clarification, I would like to see that done. Because I'll go back to when we put the first one forward. It was pushed in, put through. Some of our staff told us that we need better clarification from the privacy commissioner. And what happened? That same evening on the news, it came on that the privacy commissioner had grave concerns over our body cam policy. Now, I want to see it implemented as well, but still, if there's questions that's related to the privacy commissioner, who handles all legislation, and he's appointed by government, and he's over the Department of Municipal Affairs. So, you know, personally, as a mayor, I don't want to go and view any of these videos if from the body cam. You know, personally, I wouldn't want to. I think if the question arises, then I think some of the staff should be the ones who should do it. But personally, I wouldn't want to do it. With regard to the investigation, we called for the investigation, and we've asked our lawyer if she could update us as to where it is. And a lot of people have asked me, and I've said it's ongoing. And I said, that's all I can tell you, is ongoing, because as a council and as the mayor, that if we start asking questions, then it could be perceived by the public that we're trying to force something through. It's been ongoing for some time, but there's people hired who are carrying out their investigation, and as much as we want it done, I guess, you know, as I said, we asked our own lawyer if she could find out where, or give us an update, and she was contacted, and so far she hasn't gotten back to us.
My concern around that, Mayor, is we're paying a lot of money, so a quick sentence to say that it's still ongoing, or, you know, whatever, I don't expect details, but something to say that, you know, it's gonna be another 6 months or 2 months, or when we passed that motion, we asked that it be done in a timely manner, so we're into over a month now, and I know we can't rush this, that's not what I'm saying, but we're paying big money, so somebody should be able to say it's gonna be another 2 months or 6 months, or how long, you know, it's gonna be, it's ongoing, or whatever word they're gonna use, just so that we can put it out there when we're being questioned too. It's like we're, I don't know, it's like we don't know all the information. And as for the body cam policy, The first time it was done, and, it was on the news, then I was told that staff had already reached out to OPEC, so I don't know where the communication failed to there. But the second time, the policy was drafted, and it took weeks to draft it, and now they're still coming back with OPEC saying that it should be the mayor and the town manager reviewing. I think the best way to move forward on that body cam policy is have a meeting with OPEC, all of us together, so we can ask any concerns, questions that we got.
We actually requested that before.
And for anyone who's listening in the public, I can say this, that with regard to the investigation, I'm not sure, excuse me, if any of management has been asked any question, but certainly as the mayor, that whoever's doing the investigation have not come to me, nor have they approached me for any questioning, so, you know, it's, I guess they're as frustrating as it is and time consuming as it is, that I can only say that I guess these people are doing a thorough investigation. I would ask the town manager, have the investigator ask for any information. No doubt it will go through the town manager, but have they asked for any, if they have asked for any information, has it all been supplied to the person doing the investigation?
Thank you, Your Worship. Any information that the investigator has required from the town or identified as being necessary has been provided. We have not been made aware, I guess, or we've not been advised as to what the complete scope of that process is, and of course that does maintain the actual independence of the process. So the investigator, having been appointed by our legal counsel, has been provided with a scope of work, and they are determining what's required for them to gather and assess. But yes, to answer your question briefly, anything that they have requested of us has been provided.
So perhaps, I guess, for council's information again tonight, I will once again email our legal people and ask again if they could just give us, you know, a rough time frame or as to where the investigation is. Not that we're asking questions, but just wanting to know where it sits. Is it near completion, or can we expect it later? Okay, are there any further questions for the development and planning report? There being none, all in favor of the report?
Aye.
Aye, carried unanimous. You have some recommendations to bring forward.
Yes, Your Worship, I have three. First recommendation, we received an application from Miss Emma Cumming, who hopes to acquire a parcel of crown land approximately 0.35 hectares to the rear of her property at 10 Spruce Avenue. Development Planning Enforcement Committee recommends council have no objection to the application, numbered 157019, on the condition that any use with the land complies with all the town's development regulations.
Been moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded
Second
by
that.
Councillor Cran. Are there any questions on the recommendation brought forward? Again, Councillor Pomeroy, it has to be in compliance with all the town development regulations.
Correct.
There being no further questions, all in favor of the recommendation?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
We received the discretionary land use application from Mr. Tom Angiers for agricultural use at his property located at 540 Northwest River Road. Committee recommends council support and approve the application with the following conditions: that a fire, life, and safety inspection as per NFPA 101 be satisfactorily completed at the applicant's cost, and that the applicant provide an application for change of use at the applicant's cost.
I'll second that.
excuse me, been moved by Deputy Mayor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Any discussion on?
With regards to that, that was actually in the public. The province had, went down and made an announcement about that before an application even came to council. So, you know, I got no problem with, you know, Mr. Angiers and what he's doing, but it's frustrating to, I found it very frustrating to see the government coming out with a great big announcement on something that still hadn't passed the desk of the Development and Planning Committee and our staff to go through the proper channels. So, you know, it was, you know, the announcement was made before they even actually had approval, and, you know, I think we have to be very careful that we don't set a precedent that way.
Yeah, and really it came to council's attention through our municipal tech, who was advised of it, and, you know, he identified it right away and came to council and said, you know, and actually went to Mr. Angiers and said, you know, you're supposed to apply for a discretionary land use application.
Yeah.
Which he did right away, so.
You would have thought the province would have had their homework done on that more so than what they did, but DJ to the rescue.
Deputy Mayor is Mr. Angiers on his farm. Does that fall within the town boundaries?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Okay, are there any further questions or discussion on the recommendation brought forward? There being none, all in favor of the recommendation?
Aye.
Aye, carried, unanimous.
The next recommendation, your worship, was the one I mentioned earlier, where both councillors Compton Hobbs and Dyson Edmonds had expressed some concern. It's a discretionary land use application for Mr. Irwin Ponce to establish a home-based business at 71 McDonald Drive. The applicant wishes to sell Asian food online with delivery directly to customers. Discretionary use application was advertised and there were no comments received from the public. I move that council approve the application with the following conditions: that a fire, life, and safety inspection as per NFPA 101 be satisfactorily completed at the applicant's cost, that the applicant provide an application for a change of use at the applicant's cost, and that the use must be in compliance with all the town's development regulations with special reference to section 54.
I move.
It's been moved by Councillor Pomeroy, seconded by Councillor Bakey. So, you say at the committee level there was councillors voiced their concerns. What was, like, can I ask what the concern was?
I voiced some concerns, in light of the pandemic that we are facing, as with the last month's application as well that we had issue with. I think that the council has to take or should take a hard look at, you know, the possibility of maybe holding off on any home-based businesses that has frequent contact with, you know, outside of your bubble in your house or whatever. I think in light of the increase of the number of cases within this province, I think we gotta take a serious look at possibly putting a delay on processing applications for home-based business, because we don't know how much contact these individuals are having with the general public. It's not contactless pickup. It's you know, I think safety above all. That's just my opinion.
And the other concern that we talked about was that we're getting a lot of requests lately for home-based businesses, and food industry is just booming. So we're also getting complaints from businesses, like, you know, you got Pep's Diner and the businesses who gotta pay the tax, the business tax, and their staff and everything else they gotta pay. And then we got all these food places popping up. So we mentioned in the meeting that perhaps it's time that we sat down and looked at our home-based business policy again. Maybe we need to make changes, because there's people coming at the woodwork that wanting home-based businesses for food and whatever, crafts and nails and And with the COVID on right now, is it such a good idea? I can't remember, Bert, if this is the same address that was gonna be selling, food, ordering online? This is not the same address, right?
No, he's gonna be delivering food.
Yeah, the meeting prior to this, we had
No, different person.
we had a person ordering food online and selling it, I believe.
And that was approved. But with this one here, I mean, I hear what the concerns are, but if we're gonna base it on the fact that there's COVID, then are you suggesting we shut down every home-based business now that delivers? Because you can't have it one way and not the other.
Well, I think we have to have I think the
I mean, you can't
conversation
pick
has
and
to take
choose.
place, that in light of the pandemic,
So
there are
what-
different protocols going on
Those are
in.
probably shut them all down. If that's
Where-
what-
where's he gonna be
Well,
preparing
I'm
this
sorry,
food to?
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
Councillor Dyson is speaking.
I think in light of COVID, there are a lot of things that are changing, not just in this province, but right across the country. And when you see the spikes in COVID cases, and even within the province in the past week, I'm not saying shut down all the home-based businesses. I'm saying the council needs to have a discussion on what those protocols are gonna look like. And if we wanna stay as safe as what this, I mean, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador has been doing it right. And when you look at the thousands of new cases that are happening everywhere else, and you've got provincial premiers that are having to take a step back and say, you know, we gotta look at things here. I don't want this province and Labrador to be in that same position. And I think it warrants a bigger discussion on what we have to look at with home-based business. That's all I'm saying.
I agree that we need to look at that home-based business policy as well. With respect to this one, you know, using COVID or, you know, COVID on the go and whatever the issues are, we have no jurisdiction in telling anybody they can operate or not operate based on any COVID protocols. That has to come directly from the provincial Chief
CMO.
Medical Officer of Health.
My concern is the
So
whole
we can't
policy.
determine that. I mean, that's not for us to decide.
The chief medical officer's job, not ours.
My concern is the whole policy in itself. We need to look at it as a whole, and like, it's just gone crazy.
So where's this food gonna be prepared from, his house?
71 McDonald Drive. And it's all meeting?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where's the balance though, right? You got the businesses who are,
Don't know about
like
that.
Pep's Diner.
Well, we have others in town as well. We have,
Oh, no, we got lots, but we heard the
Emma's,
same complaints
what's
from,
it called?
we heard the same complaints from the previous owner, Boise's Bakery. We heard it from other businesses in the community, like,
I mean, there's homemade bakery, there's people out baking goods at home.
I know,
and
do
selling
we
it.
need to
I
look
mean,
at this policy and tighten it up a bit, is what I'm saying, because,
Probably.
We should have a look at the policy. We
Yeah.
should review the policy overall, but we can't, I don't think we should be not approving applications that's come forward while the current policy is in place.
Whether you look at this policy, it's not our place to tighten it up. It's the CMO's position
With respect
to
to
decide whether or not this can happen. It's not our place.
that's COVID.
Yeah, with
That's
respect
And
to
COVID.
food is not transferable through COVID. COVID does not pass through food.
I don't
My-
care about that,
My-
I'm talking
my
about the policy
concern-
itself.
My concern would be, you know, to the local businesses here who, for example, let me put it this way, Deputy Mayor, if you were operating an establishment where people could go and partake out for food, and you had a certain building, you got to meet the code for the kind of stove you use, and you got to have an insurance for your employees. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes in and operates out of a kitchen with probably, you know, like, probably no employees, he's just a man and woman, and I know that, like, there are many businesses like it, but my concern right now would be, you know, how fair are we going to be to the businesses here that have created jobs, has been paying their taxes, paying money to Revenue Canada, paying into the Canada pension on behalf of their employees, and then we come back here and we start to open up a lot of new businesses. So really, you know, we certainly need to take a long, hard look at that, and I would almost come to the point where, you know, maybe we should almost put a freeze on something like this until we get, have a good discussion with council around the table.
I do know that, I'm just trying to go through his application here now, but he's been doing this for quite some time and operating, I guess, as a, doing all the cooking at kitchens in town, like, I believe the Legion. I'm not sure now if he's been up to the
Even
Lodge.
at Masonic, but
right?
it's already, he already brings it in prepared in no form.
Yeah,
Right?
but I don't know.
That's a
where-
vending applicant he's
Yeah.
using there.
Yeah, so he's had vendors' applications to sell food.
So this is
And
different
it has
altogether.
prepared those in food establishments, I understand. That was the, I don't know, town manager got his hand up, but
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to add a couple of items for sake of context. There's been reference to business establishments in the community, and, you know, what I'd like to put forward is this is also an application for a business. It is home-based, it's not at a larger external commercial establishment, but, you know, this is an applicant who has come forward to register with the town in that particular capacity. And, you know, there's been some, I guess, commentary about, you know, businesses who are paying taxes. We're not, you know, whether that's Canada Revenue or otherwise, we can't really say whether this individual is or is not, but
He would have to.
there are also inspection requirements in order for this particular application to have come forward. So I just wanted to add that out for context. With respect to previous modes of preparation, I can't speak directly to that, but I guess it's probably something that is worthy of note, that this is an application in its own right, although it's not a larger scale business application.
yeah. And I know, you know, I don't know who he's competing with. I mean, it's Asian food. I mean, who else is
Anybody
selling,
hungry?
who's selling Asian food in town? I mean, he's the only one really that's applied.
Actually, I think Pep's Diner makes some of that too.
Well, I don't know what they're making hot turkey sandwiches and everything else too, but I mean, specifically, he's talking about Asian food, so, and I mean, these people have come to the country trying to find a way, to make a way of, a go of it. They work really hard, and, you know, I support it. I think it's a great opportunity for him, and hopefully, this will lead to him to expand and hopefully establish a more secure and stable business in the community that could employ lots of people.
I think we need to look at the home-based policy and straighten it up.
But I agree
I
that
just
the
got a
policy
message
needs to
while I'm
be
sitting
looked
here. Good on you talking about home-based businesses. It's impacting a lot of local businesses, so I think we should have that discussion. And it's not the first time we heard it from the previous council. And we never really looked at the policy to change anything, to tell you
at. And I
the
think a lot of home-based businesses from the previous council, and Councillor Compton Hobbs would certainly remember this, a lot were not registered. And now we're seeing some coming that want to be registered.
There's a lot still not
There's
registered.
still a lot not registered, but certainly a lot more coming forward now than previously. And,
I think it warrants a discussion for a discussion on the policy as a whole.
and we got to stick to the recommendation at this point.
I could probably, well, yeah, you're right, that we have to look at it, and I'll probably support, but like, you know, like, it's got, like, we need to sit down very soon to discuss, you know, the home-based policy, exactly. I mean, you know, like, and if we gotta, you know, make some changes, we should, so,
No, I agree.
yeah. But I think in one way, it might be wrong to, if I was to vote no here now because of, other applications who's come forward, and apparently he's above board, he's applied for his.
Right. And really, it's not so much the policy, it's part of our regulations, home-based businesses, so. And it's not something we're gonna change by a discussion. It has to be incorporated in our upcoming development regulations, so.
Any vote we make is not against the applicant. And I mean, I certainly got nothing against Irwin. I mean, food is good and whatever. That's not the issue. It's the policy that we need to look at it itself.
Yeah, there's no policy, there is a regulation, that's law. So,
Yeah.
policy the
We got a
regulations have to
home-based
be.
policy that we got in place.
The what?
We got a home-based policy.
No, that's part of our regulations, there's not a
Well,
policy.
then we need to look at it.
Our regulations are developed every 10
policy,
years.
bylaws, I don't care whatever it is, we gotta look at it.
But no, I agree, it should be discussed, and if it needs to be incorporated into the upcoming regulations, then perhaps there's still time to do that.
But we definitely need to do it, and soon, yeah.
Well, I think
Okay,
it's something in light of the pandemic, I think it's something that we need to look at sooner rather than later. Something that we shouldn't be putting off.
If you remember, we had the same discussion last month, so.
Maybe what we should do is, we can find time, between now and say the 15th of December to,
Have a discussion on.
have a discussion,
Yeah,
for council to come together and have a discussion on this policy.
right, yeah.
Okay.
So the motion still stands, Your Worship?
Okay, all right, so, the motion put forward, all in favor of the motion?
All right.
Three, against, the motion is defeated. Okay? All right, okay.
For the record, could you indicate? who
Okay,
voted
for the
and
record,
against?
Mayor, Councillors Bakey and Pomeroy voted in favor of the motion. Councillors Cran, Dyson Edmonds, and Carlton Hobbs voted against the motion. Okay?
Yeah, Your Worship, that's it for me.
Okay, all right, and we'll move on next to our next committee, and that would be Councillor Dyson Edmonds.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Economic Development and Public Engagement Committee met on Tuesday, November the 3rd. Present was myself, Councillor Compton Hobbs, Town Manager Robert Andrews, Public Relations Special Events Manager Waylon Williams, and Director of Community Development Research Brenna Jahar, Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Regrets from Councillor Sean Cran. The meeting was called to order at 12:06. There were no errors or omissions from the previous. The Public Relations Special Events Manager presented his report for the committee's review. Once again, a lot of discussion around the current live stream provider. We have not been very successful in that, but lo and behold, Mr. Williams gets his Pearl Mini a couple of weeks ago, and he has been enjoying experimenting with that ever since. So that's how we're coming to you today. Up until this point, we were paying about $400 a month for audio, and to add video of that, I think Waylon was would increase it up to $700 a month for a mediocre, sometimes non-existent service. So it's great to see that this system is up and running. He's still tweaking it, but a great call to have that purchased, and I think it was a pretty quick turnaround time, well, from the time you ordered it till the time you got it. So great work there. The Community Development Research Manager, Brenna, who is in the gallery here today with us, and I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we have had some discussions about department managers attending the public council meetings. Brenna's been here to each public council meeting since she's came on staff. She's very busy. She presented her report. The primary focus since the last meeting was into ongoing projects such as the bus network, the RV park, and some time-sensitive events. Of course, the small business week went really good. I was lucky enough to actually get to present Spruced Up with their award before their grand opening, which was like a storm itself. They were wiped out the first day with their stock. But Brenna has certainly hit the ground running. she was also excited to point out that there are capital expenditure funds available to hire a research student, meaning both students can be hired in conjunction with the MyTax to work on the bus feasibility study. Brenna also advised that she had been in contact with some individuals in Sheshatshiu and from the band council office, and they have potentially agreed to a partnership in some discussions to look at a transportation system and how we can work together. It was suggested, of course, by their leadership that all leadership needs to be engaged and more people at the table. She felt, as well as the committee felt, that it should be a two-pronged approach, one for the leadership to reconcile and build on their relationship with the town, and one for the staff to be project-oriented. The committee suggested that the manager set up a meeting with both councils, and that's in the works. Brianna also suggested becoming part, it was also suggested by the committee that she become part of the housing committee, and I think she attended a meeting with you, Councillor Compton Hobbs?
Yes, she did, yeah.
So it's nice to see that's moving along as well. She also touched on some upcoming events and some conferences, most of them virtually, obviously, with the current pandemic. She also provided information with respect to the RV park and had outlined some options and budgets and operating specs and the model of other RV parks in the province. Brenna also sits with Nadine on the Healthy Waters Labrador Committee, and of course the process of getting together the MOU, which we finally got a copy of, which is great to see. There's also some discussions of funding options to support initiatives for off-reserve Indigenous people struggling with homelessness. She suggested the committee's she has asked for committee's direction on how they want to proceed, and those talks are ongoing. It's great that she's got so many projects on the go, but it's good to see her here, and it's good to see some movement on those projects, and we look forward to some updates. And I would request that my report be accepted as read.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Dyson, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Are there any discussion on the report?
I think it's long overdue. It's something that people have been talking about for a long time with some type of a transportation initiative for Lake Melville. So it's really good that there is some movement on this, and you know, I've heard a lot of positive feedback from the community, so I'm looking forward to some more of this getting off the ground. Thanks, Brenna.
I'm hoping to sit down with Brenna now in the next few days. We talked about, there's a funding available, rapid housing from the federal government, $500 million. And application's gotta be submitted by the end of December. So I met with the Salvation Army today, and there may be an opportunity, so I'm hoping to bring Brenna in on them conversations. That's where the discussions we had in the economic development meetings on how we can proceed with that. So I was on a teleconference this morning with the MP and other people, and there was someone there just doing a presentation on the application process and all that stuff. And the deadline to apply is December 31st, so I'm not sure where we're going with this, but hopefully we can tie it in somehow, and there's something we can do there for the transient homeless population. There's a lot of money floating around, so hopefully we can tie into it somehow. And the money, the application's got to be in by December 31st. The money will be processed by March, and it's for infrastructure. So it's a good opportunity, and it's a one-time deal, they said this morning. So hopefully we can do something with that down the road.
Are there any further discussion on the report from Councillor Dyson-Edmonds? Just to say that there would appear to be some good things that are being worked on. And thank you, Brenna. Are there any further questions or discussion on the minutes put forward by Councillor Dyson Edmonds? There being none, all in favor of the report?
Aye.
Aye, carried unanimous. Councillor Bakey, Finance and Admin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Administration Policy Committee met on November 16, 2020, and was called to order at 4:45 p.m. Those in attendance by in person were myself as Chair, Deputy Mayor Bert Prumrine, Councillor Lori Dyson Edmonds, Town Manager Robert Andrews, who left at 5:15 p.m., and DFO Nadine McGauley, and SAT Melissa Whalen, and Executive Assistant Kathy Eddy. Committee reviewed the October 19 minutes, and there were no addition amendments. There were amendments to reflect response by Director of HR regarding amendment to body warrant BWC policy. And the committee reviewed the municipal assessment agency update. Committee is revising the policy PS 0009 to update the necessary information regarding the OIPC. Town lawyer is reviewing the policy and will provide a recommendation. Kane's Quest requests a letter of support accompanying their proposal to the government. The FAPC is in favor of supporting Kane's Quest requests. Donations to several community organizations were discussed. Recommendations will follow. The Saltwater newspaper requested reasons why Lavender Friendship Center was denied exemption of tax. We responded by saying that the council is adhering to the Municipality Act. Melissa Whalen, Supervisor of Assessment Taxation, advised the committee that residents are making payment arrangements. Most are adhering to their agreements. However, she did say there were a few that were not paying or communicating to her to make arrangements to date. The D has been busy meeting with council members during the month of November, going over the projection of the revenue and expense for the town's 2021 budget. Ms. McGauley provided the committee an overview of business tax adjustment, COVID-19, and has advised the committee that 3 more applications with a total of 6 to date. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 5:39 p.m. Next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, December 9th, 2020. I now ask the council to accept this report for record keeping of Town Council public meeting dated November 26, 2020.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Cran. Excuse me. Are there any questions for Councillor Bakey or comments on her report? There being none, all in favor of her report?
Aye.
Carried unanimous, and you have a whole bunch of recommendations to bring forward.
I do, yes, I do. The first one is business tax adjustment COVID-19. Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve business tax adjustment due to COVID-19 to Farrah O'Brien, mortgage broker, in the amount of $86.25.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Any questions on the recommendation put forward? There being none, all in favor? Aye. Carried unanimous.
The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve business tax adjustment due to COVID-19 to K&K Dog Trucking in the amount of $419.31.
It's been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Deputy Mayor Pomeroy. Any questions on the recommendation brought forward? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Councillor Dyson. Okay, carried unanimous.
The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve business and tax adjustment due to COVID-19 to the Lavender Friendship Center in the amount of $1,425.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Are there any questions? There being none, all in favor of the recommendation?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve business tax adjustment due to COVID-19 to Nunacor Development Corporation amount of $885.89.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Councillor Cran. I just want to see a tax adjustment to Noon Accord Development in the amount, okay. I'm gonna have to remove myself from this as a conflict of interest where my daughter works for Noon Accord. Councillor, I will.
Need to hand over the, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, just let the record show the mayor has left the chambers. Town Manager Andrews, you have a question, or?
Just a clarification from the Deputy Mayor. The Mayor has indicated he believes he's in a conflict, but council would have to.
So council will have to
determine
decide whether or not
yes.
the mayor is in a conflict of interest. So we can start with Councillor Dyson Evans.
I don't think so.
You don't think he's in a conflict of
No.
interest? No?
No.
Councillor Cran? No? No, I don't see a conflict of interest as well. Could you please ask the mayor to come back in?
Yes, I can.
We don't got a haircut. We got a haircut.
Okay, welcome back, Mayor. Council had a discussion, and council feels you are not in a conflict of interest. Therefore, you can carry on. I'll turn the gavel back over to you.
I will declare myself in a conflict of interest. It's a money matter. My daughter works for Nunacore, so we're going to vote on it, and I am declaring myself in a conflict of interest. I've dealt with matters like this before, and I am in a conflict of interest.
I don't think he can abstain from voting, no.
No, there would be no abstention, and the Municipalities Act is clear in terms of conflict of interest guidelines that, you know, council would determine if an individual councillor would be in a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest would arise if there is a monetary gain for you directly, or I guess for a member of your family. And in this case, I guess it is a tax adjustment to an employer.
If I
You know,
recall
is there
correctly-
any direct monetary gain to a member of your family by
The
a tax
business tax
adjustment
has
to?
no bearing on the
I
employees.
don't think it has any bearing whatsoever.
She works for Nunacore.
But if you don't vote, he could be, he can't abstain.
You can't abstain,
You
no.
can't abstain, Mayor, you got to vote.
But I declare myself in a conflict of interest.
If I
But-
may.
Yeah, yeah. Come in.
If I might, the Municipalities Act does speak to declarations of conflict, so by virtue of declaring a perceived conflict, the mayor has fulfilled his obligation and has passed that matter to council to deliberate and decide. So council has done that with the mayor having exited the chamber and have determined that the conflict of interest does not, there isn't a conflict of interest. So having that determination made, then the mayor, that does permit you to return to the chamber and participate in the vote. And that also does provide the fact that council has made that determination and not yourself individually, that does provide, a layer of protection and acceptance. So you are free to vote based on council's determination.
And my understanding of the municipal act is you cannot abstain from a vote if you were declared not in a conflict.
Yes, you're
You
correct,
can't,
Councillor.
you can't abstain regardless.
Abstinence from a vote under any circumstance would not be.
I'm quite confident, I will vote, but I'm quite confident if I push this further and got legal advice on this at the end of the day, for a family member where there's a monetary gain, and in this case here, it's a monetary gain, even though it's a tax exemption for the company that she works with. And I've seen this happen in other organizations, but I will vote. Okay, all in favor of the recommendation put forward?
Aye.
Okay, all against? The mayor votes against the motion. The motion is carried.
Thank you, Mayor. The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve business tax adjustment due to COVID-19 to Hominick Support Service Royal Inn Suites in the amount of $1,425.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Okay, I will vote again the same way because the Royal Inns and Suites is owned by Nunacor Development Corporation. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
The mayor votes against the motion. Okay,
Thank you. Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council, okay, now this is donations, sorry. We're moving on to donations. The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve a donation to Happy Valley Goose Bay Library Board for the Belleville Public Library in the amount of $5,000 for 2020.
I'll
been
second
moved
that.
by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Are there any discussion on the recommendation put forward?
No, just that this has been an annual contribution from the town for many, many years, and certainly helps the library provide, very essential services to those who in the community, particularly internet services, and that are unable to avail of those services at home. So it's a very important donation that they look forward to every year, and I'm sure is put to great use.
Okay, are there any further discussion on the recommendation put forward? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve a donation to the Happy Valley Goose Bay Ground Search and Rescue Team in the amount of $3,000 for 2020.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Cran. Any discussion on the, recommendation brought forward? There being none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, carried unanimous.
Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve a donation to the Happy Valley Goose Bay SPCA in the amount of $5,000 for 2020.
Second that.
It's been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Any discussion?
Just, I'm happy to see this donation come through, if it's approved, because, they're certainly struggling, especially with COVID. And, their big fundraiser that they've been doing has been put on hold, so it's good to see that the town is supporting the SPCA.
I think it's also good to note, a good time to note, actually, the donation that was secured by Maylin Blake and Pa's Pet Boutique, a huge donation of dog food from a distributor that she was dealing with. So that community support there and what she's done has enabled the shelter here to have a little bit of leeway with the costs of dog food. Also worth noting is that Maylin just received a huge business award for her work as well with Pa's Boutique, and that was noted yesterday.
Finance,
It's a worthy cause. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
the Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council to approve a donation to the Salvation Army in support of the annual kettle drive in the amount of $2,500 for 2020.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Bakey, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. And it's something that we've been doing now for quite some time. Are there any questions on the recommendation put forward? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve a donation to the Roland Shears Memorial Christmas Hamper project in the amount of $1,500 for 2020.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Again, a worthy cause to our community. Any questions on the recommendation put forward? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve a donation to Helping Hands in support of residents at long-term care in the amount of $1,000 for 2020.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by Councillor Dyson Edmonds. Are there any questions on the recommendation put forward?
Another good cause.
And a huge cause, and Helping Hands, a volunteer organization that is really struggling. And I think it's worth pointing out as well that the Lake Melville Minor Hockey Association, who initiated the 12 Skates of Christmas, the Helping Hands is one of the organizations that they're reaching out to help with the donations that are coming in by the skaters that are getting on the ice. They are also, I think it's the Women's Shelter and Lieber House as well. Councillor Compton Hobbs is also going to be receiving some things as a result of the 12 Skates of Christmas. So, you know, with all of the restrictions and things being canceled, it's nice to see that the community is still coming on board and making sure that these organizations can move forward.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
2021 capital work applications. The FAP committee recommends that council approve the submission of application for the following project in the 2021-2022 Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. 1. AP MCW 21317D42 pump house upgrade. 2. AP MCW 21351 sewage lift station upgrades. 3. AP MCW 21355 Hamilton Row water transmission main engineering design.
I'll second that.
Moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by Councillor Compton Hobbs. Excuse me, are there any questions? I think it's pretty straightforward. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Carried unanimous.
I have one more donation, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Administration Policy Committee recommends council approve a donation to Queen of Peace Middle School in support of their Kids Eat Smart program in the amount of $1,000 for 2020.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by Councillor Pomeroy. Are there any questions on the recommendation put forward? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimous. That ends your report, and I do you have one more for the approval of checks. Carry on, dear.
Thank you. I would like to submit for approval of checks in the amount of $1,878,624.02.
It's been moved by Councillor Baker, seconded by Councillor Cran. Are there any questions on the check run?
Just one, Your Worship. It's not so much of a question, I guess, the first check, Pomerleau, an amount of $685,330. Is that that's not the final installment, is it, Town Manager? Or
No, that would not be the final installment. That, we can get the details of the progress payment number, but that
Yeah,
would be.
I'm just
that would
wondering
be the
where we
latest.
are in terms of the progress payments. We're getting close to,
We're now on the final progress payment, and as we near the, I guess through the December month, we will be getting close to the last installment.
Yeah.
So the engineer and the DFO and I will be going through those figures over the next few days to see about the timing of those balances.
okay, great.
Can you just tell us what is the holdback? Like on every contract, like in this case, the town would have a holdback on certain dollars on, until everything is completed and all the,
I would have to go back and confirm
Sure.
exactly what that
Okay.
percentage or that figure was, but yes, there
Okay.
would be a standard contract fallback until things
Yeah.
like deficiencies are cleared.
okay. Are there any further questions on the check run? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried unanimous. Come to the last item on the agenda. Councillor Foreman, I do believe I start on with Deputy Mayor Palmer.
Yeah, not a lot to say, Your Worship. Been a really busy week, I guess, for some of us, and I guess not as busy as it was for the outside crews that had to go through an unusual storm for this time of the year. Actually, I think we set records for this date right across the country, I do believe, for the amount of snow that we received. And hats off to everyone that had to work that day. It was something that was, and the result, I mean, the work that was done was great. I mean, I've gotten tons and tons of messages from people and wanting to pass along thanks to the town workers that had to work during that day and for keeping the roads open and safe. The other thing, Your Worship, street lighting. Again, I've been receiving a lot of calls over the last couple of weeks with people are really noticing improvements to street lights in the town. One resident had been away for several months and came back and sent me a message and said, I must have missed something because those lights weren't there when I left. So things are starting to brighten up around our community and people are taking notice. So again, thanks to staff for keeping on top of that with Newfoundland Labrador Hydro, and it's certainly being noticed and appreciated in the community. Sorry I missed the special meeting. I've been tied up at work, and I'm not sure what the result of the meeting was or what came out of it. And I see the town clerk has given me the thumbs up there that the resolution had passed. So that's fine, and I guess that's a bit of comfort in knowing that Councillor Tremlett, I'm sure there's a lot going on at this time of the year for him and his family, and that at least put some resolution to that particular issue for now. With that, Your Worship, that's it for me. Thank you.
Councillor Cran.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a whole lot to say, but just like to say kudos to the snow clearing crew. They did a fantastic job. They plowed me in, I think, 3 times after I had my driveway done, but that's you got to put up with that when you live on the main drag. But no, they did a great job. I'd like to also pass along condolences to the Barber family in Nain on the loss of Mr. William Barber, the former president of the Nazi Boot, and also like to wish Edward Blake Rakowski all the best in his future endeavours, as he is vacating his post as the ordinary member for Canada. So all I got to say on that is to wish him luck, and that's it from me.
Thank you. Councillor Dyson Edmonds.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to give a little shout out to Glenn and the boys at Melville Trucking, who jumped aboard the call out earlier this morning for a friend of ours who was snowed in. They were Janice had put out a call for people to come and help shovel out Jeff's house, and before they were even finished on the air, Glenn's boys were down and had it done for them. So great community support there with companies like Melville Trucking. And as I noted on social media earlier this morning, if people only knew the things that companies like Melville Trucking and Hickey's Construction, A&M Construction, all Pike's Hardware, I mean, these guys are doing things behind the scenes that nobody knows, and it really makes a difference in the community. So a shout out to them there for sure. It's nice to see the lights going up around town. I suggest everybody take a run up on DeHarving, because the lights up on DeHarving is amazing, and it's only November. A big shout out to the crew with Healthy Waters for working hard on the MOU that we're hoping to put through. A lot of traffic on the boardwalk, and I've said it before, one of the pieces of town infrastructure that sees a constant flow of traffic. Great job there. Record snowfalls for November, obviously. It was great to see the heavy equipment out. Very few complaints, a few here and there, but a lot of hard work, no doubt. Which brings me to over the course of that storm, I did have people asking once again about the street numbering policy and what is happening with that. Now, we were told last month that it was going to be ready for this meeting. It's not here. I'm very concerned that we are going to go through a winter without this street numbering policy. Talking to some of the emergency staff, the ambulance drivers, they're very concerned over how long it's taking to get this done. So I'm going to ask, when I'm finished now, I'm hoping we're going to get an update on that. The lighting, great job on the lighting. I'd like to see an update on the ALV as well. My condolences certainly to the family of William Barber, who is a grandparent to my granddaughters as well. So my thoughts are with my daughter and my son-in-law as they laid him to rest. And if everybody could say a little prayer for our friend Joel, who is having some issues today, but we wish him all the best. And on that note, that's all. But I'd like to get an update, if I can, on the street numbering and the AVL.
Thank you, Councillor Dyson Edmonds. And town manager, I guess Randy will give us an update. Can you get Randy?
I can actually give you a quick update on both. I was speaking to the engineer on the AVL just a day or two ago. With respect to the street numbering, that draft policy and document was viewed or reviewed briefly by our I guess our now former HR director just prior to his leaving, and it was returned to me a couple of days back. I've got to go through just those last couple of items, and we should have something out possibly even by the afternoon tomorrow. I do understand it has not made the table this evening. It did get another secondary review, and that's pretty well ready to run. The AVL, we did have a conversation about that at the municipal services meeting, where most of the units were installed at that point. The engineer has advised early this week that all of those AVL units are now installed on equipment. And what is required now, he and the public works super are going through the documentation as to, with respect to how to utilize and how to actually, I guess, tabulate and collect the data that those units are gathering. The rough estimation on that training piece is about 2 weeks, but I will have another update next week from the engineer on that.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Compton House.
The street numbering policy, I just leave that right where it's to, because I've been bringing it up so often. And as for the AVL, the update you just gave there, I just read the previous minutes from October the 27th public council meeting, and the exact same thing what you just said was in there, that the public superintendent and engineer were going to review the draft, and all the AVLs was installed, and so that was October 27th, so just to let you know, that was in the report from last month, the exact same thing what you just said. I want to say, talk about Joe for a second. Joe is having a hard day, and I spoke to some of his family members today, so I just want to let them know that we're definitely thinking about him, and hoping he feels better real soon. Healthy Waters Labrador, I attended the AGM last night. They're moving right along. Lots of potential there at that boardwalk. I attended another meeting about expanding trails and our trail system that we recently had a study done on. So down the road, I think there's going to be a lot of potential that you're going to see them trails connected all through town, which is a good thing. Housing, I touched on it earlier. As housing rep for the council and as chair of the Housing and Homeless Coalition, I've attended a lot of meetings in the last couple of weeks because there seems to be a lot of funding out there federally. And, this rapid housing funding is a great opportunity, and I'm hoping that it's something that we can, move forward on and certainly address some of the transient homeless issues that we've been dealing with for years here. Well, 5 or 6 years for sure now, but the numbers are increasing, as we all know. So, yeah, the rapid housing is, there's an opportunity there to purchase infrastructure and, hopefully accommodate some of these issues we're dealing with. So I'm interested in that, and hopefully the town could come on board at some point down the road. Further discussions, obviously, but, let's see how it goes. There is a lot of money out there, so hopefully Happy Valley Goose Bay could avail of some of that money. That's it for me. Looking forward to the winter lights and the tree lighting ceremony.
Councillor Beatty.
Thank you. My condolences to William Barber and family and friends. I want to thank Nadine for getting council to go over the 2021 budget. Looking forward to giving that budget speech. I look forward to seeing everyone lighting up their homes and businesses, show their Christmas spirit. And I definitely will drive up to the Harvey where the lights are. I'll be looking to that. I'm encouraging all kids to join in on the coloring contest. And also, I look forward to hearing residents share their Christmas stories. Be interesting to hear the stories of the past. And I look forward to seeing drive-through Santa Parade. Looking forward to seeing tree lighting as well. And I want to thank Frank Brown and his crew for getting the roads clear during this heavy storm that we had for 2 days. And I also want to pray for Joe and I'm thinking of you, Joe, and family. And I will keep you in my thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd also like to pay a tribute to William Barber, the president of the Labrador Inuit Association, and who was instrumental in bringing forward a land claims deal. And I had the honor of working with him. And in the final 4 weeks of negotiations, I remember Premier Roger Grimes tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "You will go on with the negotiators and you will lead on behalf of the province." And it was 2 o'clock in the night that we settled the deal. And the word from Premier Grimes was, "Don't call unless you get a deal done," and we got it done. One of the things that William Barber made a lasting impression was that there was 4 of us, myself and Ernie McLean, William Barber, and I think it was Miriam Mason who approached Vice Mayor Nicol and got half of the money for the hospital that we have here. So he's left behind a legacy of William Barber. Good to see Hydro out there putting up a lot of lights, being improvement upon the bottom of MOT Hill. Hats off to the snow clearing. They've done a tremendous job. And the talk around town was, they've done it in such a quick fashion. And I jokingly said to a couple of people in St. John's that we never even had to call in the National Guard to get it done. COVID is creeping up around the province, and I can tell the citizens of Happy Valley Goose Bay that we want to bat for our town, and we will continue to do that. And if the need arises, we will certainly do that again. Looking forward to the budget, and hopefully good news for our community. I would ask the people to remember Joe in their prayers as she's going through a difficult time. And also, I want people to also remember Councillor Cran in their prayers as well, as his daughter-in-law is battling cancer. And it's cancer that takes a toll on all of us. And, we've seen it here in this chamber. We've seen it with our loved ones. So while we also ask people to remember Joe in their prayers, that Councillor, we also ask them to remember Councillor Cran in their prayers as well. That being said and done, I now call for a meeting to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Moved by
A second.
Deputy Mayor Pomeroy, seconded by Councilor Compton Hobbs. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Motion adjourned. Well, got it.